Hello and welcome to the Men at the Movies YouTube channel. My name is Paul McDonald, host of the Men at the Movies podcast. And I wanted to talk for a minute about this topic that I saw today about the crisis of masculinity on screen. Can there be a healthy representation? And it made me think about all the different movies and shows that we watch. And is there, what do men look like? What does their portrayal of masculinity look like? And I recently watched the movie Barbie with my wife. And you look at the primary male characters. You look at Ken. He is either a doormat or he's a domineering presence. Alan doesn't really count. He's just there for laughs. You can look at a movie like Fury. Each man of those guys serving in that tank, while they're very sacrificial at the end, you can't really say that any of them are ones that you'd want to emulate. Look at a lot of the shows from the past, the great shows, Breaking Bad, Sopranos, The Wire. Not a lot of solid male role models. Or one of the most popular TV shows around, The Big Bang Theory. The men in that show are all basically social misfits in need of a woman to come rescue them. And I think the typical male in either film or television is either a bumbling idiot in constant need of rescue, or a dominant villain intent on using his power to gain more power and control, to manipulate others and hurt the people around him. And there's the term toxic masculinity. And I hate that term because masculinity isn't toxic. It's the men who hurt those, the men who take advantage of that power that they've been given. And you can just watch the news for the latest story of a person in that position where they were in a position of power and use it to intimidate, to assault, to take advantage, and to really minimize the people that they were supposed to be protecting, caring for, having compassion for. And you just don't see a lot of that. I don't think masculinity is the problem. These men are. And what we need are men who are strong, men with courage and integrity to stand up to those toxic individuals and protect the ones who have been wounded, manipulated, and neglected. So we don't see a lot of those role models in TV or on the screen today. I read a Washington Post article a few months ago where there's a crisis of masculinity, and it's a woman who wrote it, which I thought was interesting. But she said, if you look at the tough time men are having, typically that gets kind of laughed at because that's just not the way culture is moving these days. But there was an Ivy League professor who was talking, and a graduate student came and asked him a simple question of, what does it mean to be a good man? What does a good man look like? And this professor, at an Ivy League university, couldn't give him an answer. He didn't know. Because what's out there is this is not what a good man looks like. This is not a good man, to the point where we don't need men. There's an Avett Brothers song, and I love the Avett Brothers, but there's a song that basically says we need to step aside and let women run the world. And that's a very controversial thing to talk about. But this idea, like, we don't need to step aside. We need to lift them up. We need to partner together and see what that looks like. It's not wash your hands, go sit on the couch and just say, well, we screwed it up, let somebody else figure it out. It's how can we work with them? How can we be a part of the solution and not just kind of take the blame for being part of the problem? Everyone knows what a bad man looks like, but what does a good man look like? On our podcast, we're in the middle of a series where we're looking at the HBO miniseries Band of Brothers. And how, if we look at our lives as a process of initiation and apprenticeship with God guiding us, walking with us along the way, we can decipher that. We can pull out those things that are saying, this is how we want to act. This is how we want to be. This is what men are supposed to be. I would argue that if we want to see what true masculinity looks like, we would look at Jesus. And Jesus was constantly touching those around him with kindness and compassion, fierceness against those who were taking advantage of the weak, those who were being oppressed, those who were being controlled by the ones in charge. He stood up against the toxic men of that time, but he was constantly touching the people that were regarded less than, that were regarded as not even people in many ways. We look at movies, we love to decipher the good from the bad. the toxic from the strong, so that hopefully we can become the kind of men who can care for the people entrusted to us. I'm sure you'll find a movie that you like, that you relate to. We've got a lot of them out there. We've been doing this for over 3 years. So subscribe to our channel, like our channel for more of this discussion as we dig into what it means to be a man in today's world and today's society, and what it means to reflect the kingdom of heaven, so that we can bring life and healing and joy and all the good things, the fruit of the Spirit, to those around us. So thanks for watching, and I hope you join us next time here on the Men at the Movies YouTube channel.